Greetings and salutations. It's your man CD, the fallen angel Christopher Daniels. And I'm out here in the Southern California sunshine, making my way through this quarantine like everyone else. Hopefully you're all home, safe, and healthy. I want to do a quick shout out to Carl and Anthony, who are the leaders of the A2theK WrestleTalk Podcast. You guys can watch that on YouTube, listen to it on Spotify, etc., etc. And I just want to say I appreciate their support. The guys at AEW, we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for fans like you guys. And I'm sure Carl and Anthony feel the same way about all of you that listen to A2theK WrestleTalk. So keep listening to A2theK WrestleTalk. You guys stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you later.
So should we move on to AEW Dynamite then?
We shall. So this week, it wasn't a promo from Uncle Jakey. It was a promo from Cousin Cody this week. But it was a really good one, to be fair. So just hyping up the TNT title tournament. Obviously, we have some, the final matches to decide the semi-final brackets on this week's show. So it was just a really nice kind of opening from Cody's perspective. Really, he's unable to win the main title. So it's kind of showing, has he become too complacent? Does he think he can actually get the job done? If you look at the landscape of people who are going up for this title, can he do it, kind of thing? So it was a nice little build. Then go straight into the rundown of the show from Siobhan and the Champion. And I'm always going to call out how fantastic Jericho is on commentary because once again he was a delight. And
he's great at what he does. In every sense, he wants to be on commentary. He's very literally what CM Punk thought he was.
Yeah.
When CM Punk's there going, no one can touch me, I'm the best here, I'm the best there. That's what Jericho actually is. Because he
actually fought over the moniker of best in the world, didn't he? And look where we are now.
Look where we are now.
So there you go.
But it's okay, Punk. You've still got bitter.
Most bitter in the world. So they kind of let us know that the first match of the night was what a way to kick off is going to be Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin again.
Yeah, and what a good opening match. Honest
to God, from that promo straight through to just seeing Jericho on commentary through to this match, what a fucking opening to this show. They always deliver these two, and they cut a little promo ahead of time. Guevara was really kind of fantastic promo from him. Just kind of being his typical Spanish god self. I do really like Sammy. And then they then moved on to the tail of the tape, which I'm really happy that they kept. I don't know whether they're only keeping it for the tournament bracket or what, but I'd love to see before every match where you just
I like it is a nice use. It feels more sporty, doesn't it? I like it.
Yeah, just a bit of gravitas to it. You kind of start to size them up, and especially if it's for people that you don't really know that well or something. I'm a big fan of seeing people who look or act very similar kind of go one-on-one. Tail of the tapes are quite useful for that kind of thing. But so they did that. Darby cut a bit of a promo. Looks like a bit of a psychopath, as is his character. He's got some guy that he's got bound by his hand and his feet with a Sammy Guevara mask on, and he's dragging him from a bike or a moped or something. So, okay.
We've all been there.
Oh, of course. The match itself kicks off, and it gets off to an absolutely flying start. So, Sammy Guevara literally comes flying over the top rope as Darby's making his entrance. So, what a way to kick off. He then sets up a ladder. And Jericho's quite funny on commentary. He's like, people always say, why do we have crowd barriers when there's no crowds? It's for things like this, so you can set up a ladder. So just hilarious.
Fair point. Yeah.
But he lies Darby Allin on the ladder and just fucking says, "I'm crazy," and then jumps off the top with a little bit of a frog splash. I'm I don't know, just holy shit! What a start to the show! Straight away, I was just sucked in, and these two. I've said before, it's not the first time they squared off. We both agree that these have got massively bright futures.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, and I know it wasn't a ladder match, but just from that ladder spot, it reminded me of the Triple H Rock match when they were vying for the IC title before they'd made it big. And,
I certainly remember that. Sorry, mate, you've gone a bit before my time there. They were main events when I started.
Yeah, so this was when The Rock was just coming off the the Nation of Domination stuff, and Triple H was in DX, but wasn't like, you know, he's only just started leading it kind of thing before they'd gone into the main event scene. Right. And you know, it was like a ladder match that they had for the IC title, and I don't know why, but I just got vibes, you know, very similar vibes for these two for this match. And obviously we know the career trajectories of those two, so I know it's a little bit different that these guys are a lot smaller and stuff like that, so who knows if they'll ever be the kind of that level of stars, but there's absolutely no reason why they couldn't be. And this match was just another classic example of the good chemistry that these two have got, because it was just an absolute epic encounter.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think it was a fantastic way of opening it. Two names that we've come to know and love in AEW, certainly, and both fantastic in the ring. And I couldn't have asked for any more really as an opening match.
Absolutely. So Darby ended up winning the match. So despite the early onslaught from Sammy, he got a little bit of offense in himself. Took Sammy's boot off and started going to work on Sammy's ankle and Sammy's foot. And then ended up just picking up the win. So really, really strong start. We then had a Matt Hardy promo, and I'm interested to get your thoughts on this promo because you know, you've been vocal about you know, the broken Matt Hardy and whether you quite get it or not. But this was really interesting because he, you know, Matt Hardy calls that out himself and says, you know, maybe Jericho still hasn't accepted his invite to the compound. Maybe broken Matt is a little bit over Jericho's head. So then he kind of goes to the actual Matt Hardy, his vessel, and then, you know, I just thought it was interesting because obviously he's got the broken gimmick, but it was nice to see him kind of change that up and just be Matt Hardy and show that Matt Hardy can do a promo too.
I think for me, I enjoyed it in the sense that I prefer Matt. I get it. But I like the fact that, like you say, they're sort of nodding to people like me, or apparently people like Jericho. You don't get it. And I don't know if that's going to be something that they do in the future of having this duality, almost like The Fiend and Bray Wyatt, where he can be one or the other. I don't know. But it certainly, from the promo point of view, it made it more enjoyable for me. Because I prefer Matt. I can't really get around that. The broken thing is still a little bit lost on me. But yeah, it was different. It was interesting to see, and it worked a bit better for me.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It was interesting because he then kind of said, you know, if he doesn't want to accept the challenge, then he can send Sammy, which I thought was a strange thing to say. Do you know what I mean? Like, so what are we not going to get Jericho versus Matt Hardy now? Because if we don't get Jericho in the fucking Lake of Reincarnation, I'm going to be fuming because that's going to make that match for me. So. Yeah.
No, I think something will happen there. I don't think it'll be. I don't know whether they're going to maybe do something before it, where he does send Sammy or someone like that. But I've not seen so far Jericho be that cowardly. He uses the inner circle. Don't get me wrong, and they'll sort of have that pack mentality on people. But I've never seen him hide behind them in that sense. You know what I mean? So it'd be weird from a booking point of view if he sends other people to do his work. Certainly from the perspective I've got on it, but we'll see where it goes. But like you say, they've got to do that spot with the Lake of Reincarnation, surely.
Oh, please.
It's there, it's ready to be written. Just do it.
Really, really hope they do.
Yeah.
So then they move on to the next match of the night, which was Kenny Omega versus Alan Angels, or Alan Angles, as Jericho likes to call them on commentary. But yeah, again, really another really good match. You know, Kenny Omega is one of the best in the business, isn't he? So every time he gets in the ring, you know, you're going to be in for a really, really solid match. And you know, it was interesting because he got to Alan Angels got to kick out one of the V-triggers, which isn't something a lot of people do. So considering this is a guy who I literally know nothing about, and you know, they're only just trying to get him over, I think it was a fantastic way to take, you know, an unknown and get him over in the eyes of the fans by kicking out of Omega's move. Obviously, Omega hit a second one and ended up getting the win. But it was quite a good showing for me. I think it's the second time we've seen Alan Angels. I think he was on last week or the week before.
Yeah, I think I want to say it was the week before, but don't quote me on that. Like,
yeah, so I think, you know, really, really interesting kind of booking for him. You know, it wasn't necessarily a squash match because, you know, they did do some nice things there with Angels, but obviously Kenny Omega just doing what he does best, and another great match.
I think this is one of them where I think they've done it right, like you say, because it wouldn't be logical for Kenny to take the loss. We know Kenny, we know he's a well-established wrestler, we know he's very good at what he does, but they don't have to fully squash like like ruin someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it benefited both parties definitely. Which is, I have some moaning to do on SmackDown, which is where you see squashes being done badly. But certainly, I think, like you say, that this wasn't a full-on squash, and it didn't do any real damage to Angels. But it was the logical result as well.
Yeah. Then they went on to another video package, very similar to the stuff that they've been doing with Keith Lee, but they were doing it around Scorpio Sky. So yeah, I mean, we both commented after we saw the Keith Lee one that we thought it was quite good. I think this one was very, very much the same. Quite a big fan of these things. Don't really know that much about Scorpio Sky, and
I think that's the thing. It's very useful. It was very useful for me with Keith Lee, and it's been very useful again with Scorpio Sky for that very reason. We don't know them well, so let's get to know them. It's part of getting behind them as characters once we know them better. So this should be done more. And some people might not agree with that, but I always love seeing something like this. That sort of production value to it, that video package, that build up. Doesn't necessarily have to be targeted to a feud or to a particular person. Just let us know who they are, where they come from, what they're looking for.
Well, that's it. It gives you the insight and it helps you kind of resonate with them a little bit on some level. Like the more you know about someone, the more kind of commonalities you can start to find with them, and these kind of things massively help in that. So I thought that was quite good. It was only part 1, so apparently I believe they're doing part 2 next week. So
right,
we get to find out about how him, Kazarian, and our main man Christopher Daniels got together to form SCU. So we'll be tuning in.
Definitely,
to find
full
out
support to the SCU.
we will SCU later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was quite good. We then see Cody backstage, who he's listening to a voice message from Dustin. He basically says that he really wants the TNT title, and he feels that he's the best he's ever been, and at 51 years old it'd mean the world to him to win that title. But he's spoken to his wife, and if he can't beat Kip Sabian, then he's going to retire. So that kind of just took blindsided me. It's not really something you just kind of announce in the middle of a show.
For me, this is one of them where, if he was going to retire, I'd wear it. I don't mean to spoil the results of that match, but he does beat him. So I assume that stipulation isn't the same going forward. But I don't know. It was if he was going to retire, it makes sense to bring it up. But I feel like it was an unnecessary addition to the match. It makes sense when someone puts not that you want to be able to go, well, clearly that's going to happen, but it's like when Shawn Michaels went up against The Undertaker and he put his career on the line. That's fitting because that's what was happening. He was retiring. Or Shawn Michaels is involved in these a lot, actually. Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair, where the same thing happened again. And it's it makes sense when they are retiring, even if they don't stick to it ultimately. That is them in their heads, they're retiring, and I don't mind when they book it that way or use that angle. But like you say, this was kind of blindsided and kind of unnecessary because ultimately he won anyway.
Yeah, it just felt really weird because
I don't want to be unfair to Kip, but he was going up against Kip Sabian, so did anyone think he was a credible threat?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I just kind of felt a bit out of place. It did build up a little bit of suspense and intrigue to the main event, but I don't know. Just seemed like a really odd.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
We then, I've just put a little note in on this because I've not had a chance to see it yet. I don't know if you have, but then we got a little bit of a promo for being the Elite episode 200, which is the Young Bucks facing off against each other, Matt Jackson versus Nick Jackson, fighting all over the place.
I must say I've not really followed Be the Elite much at all, but I'm given to understand it's good and it should be watched, but it's not something I've took on yet, probably because I have 3 days a week where I'm watching wrestling anyway, so
well, exactly.
Probably be overkill to include that. But half the reason I don't follow the indies because my life would just be totally consumed by wrestling otherwise.
Yeah, of course.
Sadly, I'll probably get to it eventually, but I've not got around to it yet.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It looked just trippy as fuck. Just like those guys fighting all over the place. There was a Canadian destroyer into a pool. Stuff like that, just insane. So I'm going to have to try and check it out at some point. But
it needs to be seen by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Then the next match of the night was Jimmy Havoc versus Orange Cassidy. So. I'm not really big on this feud, to be fair. I'm not really big on Jimmy Havoc, and I know he's British. We should back him and stuff, but I don't know. It hasn't really resonated with me that much, and this feud kind of feels like it's a bit out of nowhere. The same way that him and Kip Sabian's friendship has just kind of come out of nowhere as well.
Yeah, all kind of random. Maybe I'll give AEW the due, and maybe unfairly so because I'd be tearing WWE apart for similar stuff. But they're trying some things and seeing if it works. And the reason I want to give them the due is because if it's not working, they'll soon realise and they'll soon deal with it. But it just feels a little bit random, doesn't it?
Yeah. So kind of all in all, I wasn't really that bought into this match anyway. But I don't know. It felt weird. This wasn't the Orange Cassidy we got against Pac, who that was an incredible match.
Yeah.
This was literally he just got his ass whipped for like the whole match by fucking Jimmy Havoc. You know what I mean? And then he does kind of come back and gets a bit of a second wind, and then Penelope Ford gets involved like she has been doing, but ultimately ends up costing Jimmy Havoc the match because she misses the Hurricane Rana that she tries to do. Which distracts Jimmy Havoc then, and then Orange Cassidy can pick up the win with like a roll up. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really bought into this that much, which is a shame because they then book a match for later on. Sorry for next week, which is going to be Best Friends and Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian and I'm actually sure. So it's Kip Sabian, Jimmy Havoc. I don't know if there's a third.
You'd imagine so. I couldn't tell you the third was myself, to be honest, but I'm sure
unless Penelope Ford's getting involved, so it's a 3-on-3. But
you never know; they might not be shying away from the whole intergender stuff.
Well, yeah, interesting. We then have another absolutely fantastic segment, which is we haven't seen MJF in a while.
Nah, yeah, I mean, I think firstly we should show a little bit of respect. He's out, he's suffering from a major injury, and we hope that he has a speedy recovery. Sincerely.
Well, that's it. The rumours have been out there for a while. He did send a tweet out kind of saying that, he might require surgery and stuff like that. So, he basically, his promo was to kind of address the nationwide epidemic that, the world's obviously shook to its core from depressing times, which is the fact that MJF hasn't been on Dynamite in forever. But then, yeah, the truth is that when he was gambling a few Dynamites ago, he was throwing his cash around as he does, and he got quite a very bad injury, which is got a hangnail. So
I believe it's the leading injury for people who are wealthy, throwing the cash around. 1 in 10 wealthy Americans ends up suffering from a hangnail. And I sincerely hope he doesn't have to go down the surgery route. It will be a tragedy to see him out any longer than he already is.
Absolutely, yeah. His arm was in a sling, and he even had a Burberry bandage on his on his pinky as well, which is
he's just fucking quality, isn't he?
Honestly, this guy is he's gold, isn't he? He's so good. I absolutely love him.
He's an absolute legend. WWE's biggest mistake was missing this fella. I swear to God.
It is crazy though, isn't it? Like literally, he was unknown to me, not too long ago, and now it's like he's one of the best promos out there. He's just one of the best kind of characters, and he's definitely got it, hasn't he? He's another one. He's up there with the surprisingly big list of people in AEW who go, they're a future star because he future absolutely. Star. He's a star now. He's awesome. Definitely. So yeah, thought that was hilarious. We then got to see Wardlow back in action. So we haven't really seen him since the whole bodyguard thing for MJF with the Cody feud. So he's basically kind of come back. He was getting the Wardlow's going to kill you chants from the few wrestlers at ringside, which just to say on that as well, I think the way that AEW has a couple of guys, at ringside and stuff, that's so infinitely better than these empty arena stuff that
it's
WWE
massively
does.
Helpful. I think
literally,
I don't mind how you do it, but some sort of participation like that. I mentioned to you, I don't know if it was last week, but where they could try and involve social media in some way to provide these shout outs. But WWE need to do something because it just feels so hollow and so empty all the time.
Yeah.
But just that inclusion of the wrestlers themselves in the audio or whoever they've got that week, who aren't audience members, but they're involved and they're watching it. And even some of the reasons they put in, like you say, MJF was there and he was watching it, but it was logical because he was gambling. It's just, it's really well thought out and a good way of dealing with the big, just vast, empty arena.
Definitely, absolutely. So I thought that was quite good. So these guys are shouting Wardlow's going to kill you. And do you know what? I got massive Brock Lesnar vibes from this. I don't know whether you felt this as well. Like he came out, he started doing like the little jog on the spot that Lesnar does, which I was like, okay. and then he got into the match, and he looked immense. He looked like an absolute monster. He ragdolled this guy. Don't even know the name of the guy he was in with. It was obviously a jobber, but he even finished him with like a version of the F5. It's like a standing F5, like an airplane spin drop.
Yeah. For me, I was giving him credit last time we spoke about him, and I'll give him credit again. Like you say, he looked like a beast. And last time we spoke about him was the cage match with Cody. And again, I was giving him credit because he is good in the ring. We don't see him wrestle all that much, but he was bear in mind some of the big spots Cody was doing, and the other guy, you rely on the other guy as well. You can't put all the credit onto Cody when he's done that. I think it was a moonsault at the time off the top of the cage. Wardlow was the guy who had to catch him. That's a lot of trust you have to put in someone. But he knows what he's doing, and this is another good showing that he is. He's a good wrestler. He's not just there because he's a big guy, but he's a big lumbering fucking oaf. He knows what he's doing in the ring as well, and I think the more we see of him, the better it seems to be getting.
Yeah, he definitely came across like a monster. Kind of reopened my eyes to, he's not just like this bodyguard lackey. Like, this guy could be like a huge star. So it really, really worked, I felt.
Oh, yeah, totally agree.
So that was really good. We then had another Brody Lee promo. This one I liked a lot more than the other stuff he's done. There was, I don't know whether we've got any insight on this mystery man. I haven't really looked too much into it, but we basically see somebody apply to join the Dark Order.
Right.
And you can see that he's 6'2", he's a former college football star, yada, yada, yada. And then you get to see Brody Lee basically in the hiring process. And I felt like for the first time like this was a really good way to do it because, he's so nice and polite and, showing all the amazing opportunities you can get by joining the Dark Order when he's recruiting someone. But then we've already seen what he's like to the recruits. So I feel like that it's this nice little balance between like, oh, he's this one guy when you're first kind of getting your foot in the door, but then once you're in there, he's someone else. And that probably is like a Vince McMahon jab again, isn't it? Let's be fair.
Possibly, but it's a less overt. The other ones were blatant jabs. This is more subtle. This could not be a jab, but it could be. It very well could be.
It was less on the nose than the other Vince stuff, wasn't it?
Definitely.
There was even a little another Bray Wyatt tease because as the guy who's applying to join Dark Order is typing his reasons for it. He's like, I had the whole world in my hands.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So it's you still do some stuff like in quite a nice way, but it's not like overbearing like some of the other stuff has been. So
this was one of his better promo. Like I mentioned last week that I was worrying that they're going to get a bit too heavy on the whole Vince McMahon shots. While you could argue this was still a shot at Vince, it was better handled, and that kind of stuff I'm totally on board with. Yeah,
defo. And then that kind of got followed up with a match, which has become the norm every week. It's a straight up squash match for Brody Lee, which I've said before. I don't feel like he needs these matches. I can get it for the Lance Archer and stuff, but I'm not really sure why he needs to have these squashes. But a really weird next step here was after the match, he goes out and starts squaring up to Marco Stunt.
Okay.
Because that makes sense. We then find out...
Lance did it.
Well, yeah. So we then find out, and this is where I was a bit annoyed because, we've got to pull them up on the shit when it's due. We've always said, like, who books matches in WWE doesn't make any sense, blah, blah, blah. At least in AEW, it makes more sense. Whereas, we then find out straight away that now next week, Marco Stunt's going to be facing Brody Lee. And it was like, where did that come from? Like, who booked that match?
Yeah.
Like, do you know
and
what I mean?
That is one of our biggest pet peeves with WWE, so I think it's only right to call it when AEW do it.
This dude had only just come off an absolute squashing from Lance Archer as well, so now he's going to go out and get the same from Brody Lee. So, it didn't make any sense where it kind of come from, but, a little bit later on that night I mentioned before, they made the best friends match with Kip Sabian and that, Siobhan actually said on commentary that Tony Khan had spoke to him and said that they've just signed the match off. So at least he kind of did say, oh, it's Tony Khan.
Yeah, so they sort of address it. But
in the moment, I was a bit like, what? I was a bit fuming with them. So I still feel like we need to call them on it.
No, I totally agree. If it had been WWE, I would have moaned about that. Straight off the bat, I would have gone, well, apparently anyone can book a match now. And I'd have done my usual moaning shite. So, it's only fair that we call it when AEW do it, even if they did address it later on.
Yeah, So I feel like that's going to be really weird to see Marco Stunt and Brody Lee. Don't know why, but let's see where that goes. And then another fantastic segment on what has been an incredible Dynamite is the return of the Bubbly Bunch. And
the Bubbly Bunch. I fucking love it.
They are hilarious. Even more so this week because, as you know, most of you will know, if you're one of our 1.6K followers on TikTok, they decided to do a piss take of TikTok, or rather Flim Flam, by doing a dance video to cheer up Sammy because Sammy's all down and upset that Jake Hager didn't win his match. So they try and cheer him up, and whoever does the best dance is going to get a case of hand sanitizer. So obviously that cheers Sammy up right away, and it's just
fucking nuts.
But the dance itself,
it's such a good, fantastic faction. Like the Inner Circle as a whole is just fucking boss. Everyone is fantastic in it. Like even Hager, who I didn't think would be because he was just silent all the time. Even when he was silent all the time, they played that up. Do you remember when they were doing the build up for the Jericho versus Cody match, and they interviewed him, and he was just staring at the screen?
Yeah.
It's just stupid shit like that. They're so comical. It's fantastic. Anything they do, I'm on board for.
Yeah, and this was obviously hilarious. They all kind of get involved, start doing the flim flam dance, and Sammy then ends up winning, and then Jericho's very upset by this, and it's like, you fucking show off. Enjoy your hand sanitizer, you fucking show off. So yeah, I don't know. I just love them. They're hilarious.
Yeah, I totally agree. And obviously the flim flam dance is now trending worldwide. So I'm sure anyone who wants to get on it can get on it.
Definitely, please do. And then the final match of the night, a little bit underwhelming, really, isn't it? To be fair, but I think that's why they probably tried to add the additional stipulation of Dustin potentially retiring. But as we've already said, he did actually win the match, Dustin. So they tried to do more shenanigans with Penelope Ford, as they do all the time. But for whatever reason, Brandy got involved this time because she's a Rhodes now too, and she basically.
I'll be honest, she's one of my favourite Rhodes. She's actually quite. I don't know if you follow her on social media, but she's quite funny as well. I think she's a good character. You don't see much of her wrestling, but nevertheless, she's a good addition to the Rhodes family.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah.
Thing for me with this match, I think you're right that it was a bit of a lackluster finish, and the thing that bugged me with the and I'll moan on it again, even though I moaned on it slightly before, is it's Kip Sabian. Even if I had a match with him, I'd probably put my career on it. Fuck's sake. For the record, Kip, yeah, you'd probably win, but that my career would have been one match, so who gives a fuck? But no, seriously, like the way they've booked him so far, like we've not long come off Colt Cabana slapping him like a little bitch, and he did nothing about it. So are we meant to believe that there's any credible threat here for Dustin?
No idea.
Shenanigans. But no, it didn't bother me. I didn't think for 1 second he was going to retire on the back of this. Can you honestly see that unless they were going to try and book Kip Sabian going forward as the career ender or something like that, what would they have done with it? Why would it have been Kip Sabian? Just didn't make it. Yeah, I don't know. It was a good match. I'm not discrediting the match, but the stipulation just was needless.
Yeah, I think it was fine for what it was. It just didn't really feel like a main event. I think they tried to add the gravitas to it with the retirement angle, but I don't know. It didn't feel, as you said, like it was ever really possible. So, didn't really do what it intended to do. But that was Dynamite. So the bracket now stacks up as Cody versus Darby Allin and Lance Archer versus Dustin Rhodes in the next one. So I think it's looking pretty likely, as we alluded to and expected, that they're going to end up getting Cody versus Archer in the finals. But they could pull a fast one.
If we'd have had Archer versus Dustin and Dustin put his career on that one, put his retirement on that one, I'd have been worried. I'd have been on board. Yeah. I'd have been going, they've been booking Lance Archer like a beast, so it's very likely. But I do like the back and forth on Instagram. I think Dustin was calling them correct me if I'm wrong, it was some sort of reference like this, but he was calling them the murder chicken instead of the murder hawk, which is different.
I hope it was.
It was something like that. It was a different sort of poultry. But yeah, I like it. He's back and forth with him. He's not, he's not scared. Lance Archer is a little bit more weak. He's like, I'm going to make his whole face red. It's like, okay. Yeah. You've got Mike skills. but yeah, they're both going to be really good matches to watch. So, fair play. They've done the tournament well. And, I think we're all expecting it to be Cody Archer. And I really hope it is. I think that would be a great match to watch.
Yeah, hopefully, if they do go ahead with it, we can still get Jake involved somehow, because obviously he's been instrumental in Archer's kind of rise. So hopefully he'll be around or something for that.
Well, if you want me to call it now, I'd say Archer's going to take the win, take the title, and then we're going to get a massive promo from Jake the next week when they strut out with the belt.
Yeah.
And because it's going to be the sort of prophecy come true then, isn't it? You come to take his well, I can't remember quite how he termed it, but his slice of the pie. And he'll shoot on Cody all over again with this win. I know it's a bit of a shame because that'll be another major title match that Cody's been in that he's lost. But, he's there
as long
to
as
put new
there's
talent over it.
Stipulations on it that he can't win ever again, then hopefully it's fine.
Shit, that's 2 now.
I'm just excited to see what the title looks like. I'm a bit of a title nerd, so hopefully it's a thing of beauty.
Oh yeah, hopefully you love it as much as you love the new Intercontinental Championship title match.
Fucking hell, it's the worst title ever.
It's horrendous, isn't it? I always like the white strap one. Ever. I liked when Cody reintroduced the classic looking IC title anyway, but I always like the one with the white strap. It's only a minor difference, but I think you preferred the original, didn't you? Which is very similar looking. But
yeah, I mean, to be honest, either or, because I've seen the IC title in white straps, blue straps, fucking all different colours over the years.
Yeah,
but,
I feel like did they have a yellow one once?
Yeah, I think especially around the time Ultimate Warrior had it and stuff, it was like a different colour every fucking week. So,
fair enough.
But I think in terms of this week's Dynamite, I thoroughly enjoyed almost every aspect of it. Like, what an awesome start to the show. From the opening promo all the way through to the opening match, and then you get a Matt Hardy promo, you get a Kenny Omega match, you get Scorpio. Like, it literally only started to fall down a little bit once we got to the Jimmy Havoc and Orange Cassidy match, and that's more for Jimmy Havoc than anything else, and then we got MJF, we got Wardlow looking like a monster, Brody Lee with a much better promo, and then the main event, which felt a little bit flat. So for me, 4 out of 5, because I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't want to be unfair to it. I did really enjoy it. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because it was the best bit of wrestling this week. And to be honest, the only reason I'm not giving it a 4 is because the week we had the cage match, which was a fantastic week, I only give that a 4, and it wasn't up there with that, but it was still very good. And like you say, there was nothing really that didn't land. Even some of the weaker bits, they still worked. So yeah, I think for me, 3.5. I think is where I'll land on that one.
Nice.
All in all, very good week for AEW, I reckon.
Yeah, fantastic.
And I haven't got any specific numbers for you guys, but I believe AEW battered NXT in the ratings. If anyone gives a shit.
Oh, I do give a shit. I've not actually seen. I've not actually seen what the numbers.
Unfortunately, I couldn't tell you the numbers because I try not to concern myself with it too much because I watch both products anyway. But it comes up a lot on Twitter and various social media where people are going, "Oh, look, NXT's finally," and it's like people really want to have the two clash, and for me, I'm in the sort of school of going, well, I enjoy wrestling and I'm watching both products. I don't need to hate on them all. Forgive anyone who's listening who goes, well, all you do is hate on WWE. Unfortunately, there's more to critique there. There's more to complain about. Doesn't mean I don't watch both, and it doesn't mean I won't continue to watch both. But yeah, I believe they absolutely battered them in the ratings this week.
Interesting. We have to have a look at it.